What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and today we're going to be testing Ikaris in PvP to see how well he can actually perform. And we're going to be using this team right here. Now, obviously, we're going to be using Colossus for the decreased damage received from his passives. Just an insane freaking passive for all the characters in the game. And then we're actually going to be using Cersei also. And Cersei is actually pretty amazing for the Eternals, especially for Ikaris, because of her passive, right? The increased all basic attack by 30%, really increasing Ikaris' damage helps a lot because Ikaris just doesn't feel strong enough, right? His damage, at least from the experience that I'm having so far with the current build that I have, is his damage just is subpar. He has a lot of problems taking down like a Sentry that, say, is using Ebony and Colossus on a team because Ebony offers the decreased damage received from universal types, which Ikaris is, and then of course having Colossus with the extra decreased damage received by 50%. It just makes Sentry a complete tank on top of the decreased damage received that he has, and it makes it very hard for Ikaris to take him down. And plus the increased basic damage to supervillains that Cersei has here and decreased damage from supervillains is really great against a character like Doom, who is in the meta. So I mean, Doom and Sentry are the two main characters that are in the meta all the time. Like, they're all the time. You're just going to see those guys in timeline over and over and over, who is what we're going to be facing today. I'm not going to be going against Silver Surfers and Jean Greys. Honestly, Ikaris can take both those characters down pretty damn easy. It's not very difficult for him at all, because all you got to do with Silver Surfers is bait his third skill. Once he does that, he does have his Ignore iframe, and you can easily use Ikaris' fifth skill that actually has the super guard break, and it's a long iframe, and it has penetration on it, and you can easily melt Silver Surfers like butter. And kind of pretty much the same thing with Jean Greys. Honestly, those two characters don't pose a big threat to Ikaris at all, but Doom and Sentries do. Because, like I said earlier, you know, especially teams where people are using Ebony and Colossus, but Sentry, I mean, the thing about this character is he's just hard to deal with, right? He's got all the chain hit damage and the decreased damage received by 35% on top of having Colossus, right? I mean, that's 85% decreased damage received if he just has Colossus on the team. And then he's got all these damn skills with Super Guard Break. And this is honestly a big reason why I'm not such a PvP fan, because ever since they introduced Super Guard Break, like with Jean Grey, way back in the day on her fifth skill, I just hated PvP. I just don't find it near as fun, because even when you have an immunity to guard break obelisk, you still get guard broken when characters have super guard break. Now, luckily, Ikaris does have some super guard break in his kit. He's actually got it on his fifth skill. He's got it on his third skill, which is really nice. He's got it on his 1, and then he has it actually on his tier 3. So quite a few skills have super guard break, which is something that's in his corner, as well as just having, you know, all of his wonderful, wonderful heals. I mean, this really helps this character, the decreased damage received that he has. Now, my Ikaris is not fully built up. I could easily slap some HP Urus on this guy, but I'm going to end up using this guy for PvE. He's really solid in PvP, especially if you manually play him. But like auto, he's okay. He'll do okay on auto. I'll show you guys both. I'll show you manual and auto. He's actually pretty decent, but he just isn't good enough for me. Now, for AC, he's going to be an absolute monster, especially with Cersei on the team. Another thing, by the way, that I want to mention about Cersei is the fact that she has the remove all debuff. This is amazing. I was actually playing with Ikaris in some PvP matches without Cersei on the team, and I found that a lot of times maybe I would get paralyzed by Sentry, you know, some kind of CC effect from the opponents that we'd be facing would get a hold of us. And actually having this debuff, I mean, it really makes Cersei just an awesome support for Ikaris, because he's always going to have that 30% increase of all attack, right? And then if you're facing a supervillain like Doom, who is in the meta, you know, the decreased damage received and the increased damage to supervillains from her other passive is just massive. It's just really strong. But the biggest problem that I have with Ikaris is his damage. It just isn't good enough, right? He's pretty tanky. He can survive pretty well. But, you know, whenever you're facing auto, he doesn't exactly prioritize the skills he should, but he does do okay. And he actually can survive a while because of his heals and decreased damage received, especially if you have Colossus on the team and you have Cersei on the team and you're facing a supervillain. But his damage is just lacking. Like, whenever you manually play the character, you can always get up your accumulation, and this is only for 6 seconds. This would have been a lot better if it had been 10 seconds, because then you'd have more damage throughout the fight more often, right? 6-second accumulation, that means once you use this thing and get your kill, you're gonna have to set it off again. And a lot of times Ikaris won't do that. He'll use other skills instead, and this accumulation really, really helps him a lot. He mainly, a lot of times, he'll prioritize his 5 and his 4, which is really good in PvP, but a lot of times if he doesn't have that accumulation up, at least on my account, he just doesn't seem to do enough damage. And, you guys can see he's got a stasis power burning hog set. I told you all that I wasn't going to awaken this. I mean, again, I'm sorry, Ikaris fans, but Ikaris just isn't, he's a good PvP character, but he isn't really that great in PvE at all, and he's just not good enough in PvP for me to really want to invest a whole lot into this character. I'd rather save my resources for a character that I'm actually going to use on a daily basis, and he's just not. He's just going to end up being relegated to a support for World Boss Legend, and his uniform is only at rare. So it's going to be a testament to him that, what he's actually going to do today, considering his build, because if I did have his Ice Wave set fully awakened, he would have higher stats, he would get a bigger damage proc, which would make a difference in his damage. And maybe if I would have done that, it would have been a lot better. But I mean, he really did do pretty good. Honestly, he's a pretty impressive PvP character. So I'll go ahead and bring that up for you guys so we can watch this. And the first 3 matches are going to be me manually playing. And we're going to be facing the number 2 ranked team. And poor Cersei, she dies pretty damn quick. It's always that wonderful thing about PvP. When you start with the fight, you don't have any skills ready. And there you go, guys. I did 3-5 and easily murdered Sentry, right? We do 3-5 again, easily murder Sentry. Right? And whenever I play on PvP, maybe this isn't the best, but I tend to focus on 3, 5, 4, and the tier 3. And there you saw the third skill actually just took out Doom on its own. So the third skill actually does do pretty good as far as damage. Easy, right? Piece of cake, no problem. And we'll do this 3 times. Now again, whenever I face like a Sentry with, Colossus and Ebony on the team, having that extra decreased damage received from universal types, that's when I had problems as far as my damage. But again, if I'd had a better build, maybe that'd been a different story. If I had more Odin's blessings on, if I had Odin's blessings on him and things of that nature, it'd been all right. But Sentry, I mean, I've always hated the whole super guard break bull crap. Now, what I like to do whenever I'm playing with Ikaris is a lot of times when I use my 4th skill, I try to move away from those skills that Sentry has that have the super guard break, so I don't get guard broken like right there. It's just so stupid that you have an immunity to guard break obelisk and he still can get guard broken. It just annoys the living hell out of me. Luckily, no, Doom or Sentry, neither one of them have reflect, but if they did, then you'd have to be really careful about using that 4th skill. And then, if you're playing against Silver Surfer, you just don't use the 4th skill until after. You just don't use the 4th skill. You just want to use your 5th skill for someone like Silver Surfer. But as you guys can see, I mean, Ikaris can take these guys down pretty easy. I mean, it really isn't that difficult if you're playing on manual. It's not bad at all. I mean, I did play a couple times to kind of get the groove of how to play this guy in PvP. But once you get the groove down, right, it's not bad at all. You're just trying to catch Sentry off guard, trying to make sure you're not, running into his 5th skill, which has all that AoE and can super guard break you, and then you're pretty much just screwed. Okay, let's get him. Get him. There we go. And you can see this Sentry does have a reforged CTP. But I'm telling you, man, Ikaris does a whole lot better when you can get that accumulation up before you go into your attacks. I really wish they would give him penetration like on all of his skills instead of just the 5th skill. That would have been a lot better. That would have been a step up, because then every time you do your 4th skill, you'd have that penetration up, and you could actually, penetrate invincibility and immunity and things of that nature. So now we're going to be on autoplay, right? Now you guys can see how well Ikaris performs on auto with the build that I have. And he actually does okay. He actually does pretty decent. You see that he did the 2, and then he did the 5, now he's doing the 4, right? But watch, he's not using his accumulation. And he just isn't doing enough damage. Like, it's very tough for him to take the opponent down. You see how much easier it was with me when I was using my accumulation. It was just a lot easier for me to take these guys down. Whereas when he doesn't use it, the damage is like, it just isn't as good. It just isn't as good. And that's what sucks. Another thing that would have made Ikaris a lot better for PvP is if they would have gave him ignore iframe on his 5th skill. My God, that would have been so nuts. If they would have done that for him, he'd have been so much stronger. Right? Like penetration on his 4, iframe on his 5, or just an iframe on his 5 would have been a lot better. You know, having an iframe that has ignore iframe and penetration would have been very, very potent. But, I mean, you know, he took out Sentry on his own, right? On auto. And this is a Sentry with a reforged CTP. Right? And my build isn't like the greatest by any means. And he can hang in there, and he got the kill. I mean, so it's like, you know, he's pretty damn good. But he just isn't good enough, because you'll find that, you know, he has a bit of trouble. I mean, when Doom does his 5th skill, he's got the super guard break. So you got to be careful of Doom's 5th skill, just like Sentry's, with all that damn AoE he's doing it right now. It really sucks. But I mean, look, he's taking him out. We lost the first round, and you know, I mean, like, look, if he had ignore iframe there, he'd instantly won that. But we got a kill right there, right? So we lost one. We got the kill in the second one. We'll do one more here to see how he performs. Poor Cersei. Remember, my Cersei just has a PvE build. You know, she doesn't have immunity to guard break. Nothing like that. But I mean, look at this, guys. I mean, he's doing his 4th skill. He was lasting, and he just couldn't kill Sentry. Finally, he did, right? But if he would have had that accumulation up, he would have killed him. So, I mean, maybe if you built your Ikaris up really, really strong, maybe it'd be a different story. So, I mean, he took out Sentry once again. It's pretty awesome. And there, Doom interrupted our 5th skill. And we died. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, if he had ignore iframe on his 4, we could have done a lot of damage to Doom, right? Even if he had immunity or invincibility up. So Ikaris can get it done in PvP. He's definitely a very solid character, especially if you're going to manually play him. If you're going to let him play on auto, he'll do all right, but he's not going to be the best. I mean, I think Doom and Sentry are still going to outperform him in PvP. But let me know how y'all feeling about Ikaris. And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GMT+7 time. The link is in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See ya.